Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Unknown, the newest and soon-to-be top podcast in the country. The GUB podcast is hosted by the man that made this possible, Frank Flowers. Frank is joined by three cousins who discuss daily topics, host interviews with intriguing guests, talk about current news, and relating everyday experiences to their past experiences and stories of growing up as Italian Americans in the Northeast. The GUB podcast is produced and brought to you by Mountain View Media. Mountain View Media is your go-to media production company for social media and online content. And now, we kick it to Frank and the cousins in studio.
Damn. What an introduction.
That was a great introduction.
Hey, where'd you get that voice?
I was born with it.
Except he says GUB podcast. It's good, bad, unknown. Why wouldn't it be GUB?
Yeah.
GBU?
Let's listen to that voice. You belong like in a strip club introducing chicks.
You think so?
Give us a little taste.
I like it. Kind of sounds
A little taste? All right.
Give us a little taste.
Introduce us to some Bon Jovi for the next act.
Introduce Bon Jovi?
Introduce the next act on stage. Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, C-Section Sally.
Yeah?
Oh, wow.
I got to get you a job at the Squire.
Oh, man. Cheers, dude.
Taken.
Well, we're here. These are my cousins. I'll let them introduce themselves.
I'm Anthony.
That's the unknown.
I am Legion, and I am many.
Legion and many, and I'm just Bruno.
And I'm Frank Flowers. I'd like to talk about some our background, where we came from and where our parents came from, so you can understand their opinions and maybe, have a discussion about that. So I'd like to start off with a question for all of you. How do each of you identify yourselves here in America as Italian Americans?
I'm an American of Italian descent.
I've always looked at myself as a person of the world. I'm a person of the cosmos, basically. And at the end of the day, that question's more for other people to look at me, not necessarily how I looked at myself.
So you don't recognize your
I recognize it,
culture
but I think, no, it's not to say that I don't recognize my culture. I recognize my culture. I understand that it's part of my story, but it's not the only part of my story.
How many people recognize you as the man of the cosmos?
At the end of the day, I'm only interested in only one person's opinion on that, and that's mine.
So I guess what I'm getting at is let's go where your family comes from, your mother, your father. I mean, we're all related, so our fathers and mothers come from the same place. Let's go back where they come from, and then you could tell me that how it affects your identity here in America. Because a lot of people say, I'm Italian, I'm Greek,
I'll interrupt you now. How does that affect me as a person? And once again, I don't want this to be taken the wrong way as though I'm being disrespectful to anybody, because I'm not. It's just that I'm the kind of person, I believe in existentiality, where their experiences, their story, I respect it, I admire it, but to me, it's a story to be told and for me to listen to. It's not something that becomes necessarily part of my identity. I'm more interested in the identity that I've carved out for myself throughout my journey in life.
You don't think their identity places any bearing on yours at all?
Well, of course it does. But I don't worry about things that at the end of the day I don't really have a lot of say in. My story could have been, I could have been the offspring of someone who lived in India or lived in China or lived anywhere else. It just happened to be this. And I'm perfectly good with it. No problem with it. I've identified with it. I've sort of studied it to get a little bit of a window into why my circumstances are what they are. But ultimately, I'm more interested in my journey as a person. I mean, I'll hand it off to you, and you can.
Well, I feel probably the same, but
I call bullshit.
Oh no, I mean not to that.
Not to that extent.
Let him finish.
Not to that extent. Not to that extent at all. But being raised by two immigrant parents, I mean, yeah, that's my film. That's what I'm familiar with. That's how I grew up. That's through good or bad, what they taught us.
When you're the kid who lives in the city back in the 70s, or later on when you live in the suburbs in the 90s or what have you, and here on after that, I'm not sure that necessarily someone's experience from the 50s and the 40s has a lot to do with that per se. It has a lot to do with, logistically why I'm in that spot in that moment, logically, of course, but in terms of what it means for me in my inner world, I mean, it is what it is.
I disagree.
I'd also.
100%. Like not remotely close, in my opinion, because there is a finite barrier sociologically between those who are further removed from the working class, right? So if you put me in perspective, I have one first-generation American parent and an immigrant mother, right? Both of whom had to work their asses off to get where they are now, came from nothing, abject poverty, so on and so forth, et cetera, et cetera. I grew up as a privileged upper middle class guy, but I always worked hard. As soon as I got my working papers on my birthday, when I was 14, I got a job. I had 2 jobs in high school in the summers, 3 jobs in high school during the summers. I worked all through college.
But ultimately, what you're doing, you're being just purely biographical. I'm not trying to be purely biographical.
I'm not being biographical
course
because
you
I'm
are.
thinking
Of
if you
course
take
you
that, no, I'm not, because if you
you
take
are.
that same outside, you go 3rd generation, 4th generation, 5th generation removed from that. Are
talking-
they doing that? Do they have those values?
I'm talking about my daily existence. I'm talking about me transversing through life itself. I'm talking about the thoughts that I have as I go through life per se. I get what the reason why I'm standing particularly there in that spot has a lot to do with everything that came before me, but that's purely biographical. I'm more interested in what's going on in here and what's going on in there.
So
And these are the things that I picked up along the way. These are the things that inform me as a human being, and these are the things that make me as a human being. My underlying reality was what you're talking about. Of course, I acknowledge that. That's all fine and dandy. But I'm more interested in the things that I've gone through in my life that I can say define me as a person, as opposed to saying that someone else's background, someone else's biography completely hijacked my existence for perpetuity onwards. That's just my
So he's saying he never had an IROC, he never had a Mustang, he never had chains on your neck or anything like that.
I did have chains. I did have chains. I like the chains. They did.
I guess
they
what
did
I'm-
turn green on occasion, but I did like the chains.
What I'm trying to say is that we're all from immigrant parents, at least one of them, or both of them.
And I guess
we are first
and I guess I'm
generation.
kind of hijacking the conversation a bit here, am I?
No, you could justify it because you do live differently than us. I would say you definitely do.
Something that he chose.
but
something
Bruno,
that he
when he-
chose as a young
That's
young
fine,
boy.
and he's been keeping that same pattern
Absolutely.
forever. But when you say I kind of agree, I disagree with you because you don't. You live the life as the culture that your parents brought you up.
I agree. No, what I said.
you still continue to do that with your own family.
When I said I agree on his terms. When he
No,
said-
no, no.
When he
Okay.
passed it to me, I agreed.
Understand what he's saying?
on Jay's.
I know. So look, there's 2 separate things at play here, completely separate things, right? The idea that all 4 of us are complete individuals would indicate that our backgrounds are, to Jay's point, nothing but biographical. That being said, none of us sit in any of our positions without that biography. That biography shaped how we are today, regardless of how we turned out.
But once again, I think that the line of questioning here becomes indicative of the fact that sort of makes us unique. That's true for anybody. I'm interested only in what's true for me, not what's true for everybody.
Can we just give you background why you think this way and how where your parents came from and what made you think this way?
Where did my parents come from?
Yeah. Are they born here in America or are they born in
my
Italy?
my parents lived in Boston for a lot of years. They lived in the city.
Your father was born in Italy, though.
My father initially, but he came here as a young kid. I mean,
the
my father
60s.
spent an overwhelmingly vast majority of his life here in the United States and in Boston per se, making his living. So I would think in a lot of ways that probably, given the amount of time that he spent here and the experiences he had as a middle-ager and as an adult and everything else that came afterward, that probably informs a lot more about him than simply sticking with the whole Italian thing. I'm thinking that at the end of the day, we're multi-layered. We're a lot more complex than saying, we're just that and we're only that under everything.
Well, that's what I'm
and
trying to bring out
everything
here.
that we do is because they did it before us, and we're only here because they did it before. I mean, that's fine to some extent. That's true to some extent.
Acknowledging your past and its influence on your current state does not preclude your individuality.
But I'm more
It's simply informative.
he's asking the question. I'm rendering an objective assessment of my own opinion on this, and my own opinion is that my individuality has always been much more important to me, and this is where the conversation should end for me, at least in regards to this. That it's purely about the I here. Maybe I'm being selfish. Maybe I'm being narrow-minded. But I think this is how I've always. This is how I've always sort of carried myself, with no disrespect. Listen, I stood on the shoulder of giants. I will acknowledge that. But I'm more interested in me. So
It's true, and he's telling the truth. I mean, he's been like this since he was fucking 2, 3, 4.
how about you? I mean, what would you say in regards to that for
How
yourself?
do you identify? If someone says, "Hey, what are you?"
I would identify myself as, 2 parents that were immigrants.
If I ask you, "What are you?"
I'm Italian,
Living in America.
living in America. Yes,
Why?
absolutely.
Why are you Italian?
I'm Italian because
Why are you Italian?
Yeah.
I mean, I
there any
guess
secret?
not by choice. My
That's what I'm
mom,
trying to
my mom,
explain, so
my
we
mom
know.
and dad were born in Italy.
Yeah. They actually came late here
Had children, came very late, 1970, very late,
on a plane.
on a plane, not a boat, not a banana boat.
You were conceived somewhere.
What's wrong with banana boats?
Nothing's wrong with banana boats. I love them.
I prefer a boat to a plane in actuality.
Banana boat.
Not the boats back then. It was
Dairy
a
Queen
tough trip.
Dairy Queen makes a great banana boat.
Oh, they're delicious. Banana splits even better. Okay.
You shitting me? I identify myself as Italian. Yes, I didn't speak the language probably up to first grade. I started learning into first grade. Kindergarten, I didn't know a lick English at all. Nor that my parents cared, nor that my parents taught us. They just
Well, they were the oldest, so
it was a difficult time for me in the 70s. Growing up in Somerville, so I identify myself as Italians. Do I have any regret to that? No. No, it's all great.
Well, why would you have any regret? There's no reason to have any regret.
No reason.
That's just
I
kind
think
of.
you got a little intimidated by your answer. That's all.
There's no regret. I'm not trying.
I
I'm
actually
not
love
trying.
his
I'm not
answer.
trying.
I love his
There's
answer,
nothing to do.
knowing that he
listen. I hope that no one interprets anything that I said has anything to do with regret. I'm just having.
No.
I'm trying to render a more elevated kind of notion about my own particular individuality, which is only
his own.
to me, and that's it.
Because we meet a lot
No
of people.
disrespect to anybody else.
And they all identify themselves as the country where their parents came from or where they came from. But we all do live here in America. Anthony,
But is it more important, though? I'll ask a question. As a follow-up question, is it more important to understand you yourself as an American and less as an Italian? Because how does it help you here in this country to identify yourself as an Italian?
doesn't.
When in actuality, if you look at the actual culture,
They don't
of
even have
being-
Italian. You can
when you
check
look at
off
the
with any
actual
applications.
culture of being Italian, to live day to day in an Italian city, okay, in our case, maybe the southern part of Italy. I mean, there's some similarities for sure. There are definitely some similarities, culinary, religious, but it's not. You got to understand that what we experienced also is sort of a subset of American culture. It's an Italian thing, but that's the American story though. But there's nothing truly uniquely American. It goes back to the American Indian, to any other immigrant group that came afterwards. America's a melting pot per se, but everything that people came to be while they're here is a subset of the culture that's here. Not necessarily. We didn't completely set up shop over here. I mean, some people did. I mean, people who spent a lot of time, who spent the majority of their life in Italy, didn't know the language and took everything that they had culturally, mentally, and brought it here and set it up here. That's differently. But we're so far removed from that now.
Well, I would disagree with that because they took over neighborhoods. They took over.
But over
large
time,
neighborhoods, and
that gets
Little
lost.
Italy in those.
But over time, that
neighborhoods.
gets lost.
It's getting lost.
I'll give you a case of put. I'll bring up the North End. Now, the North End, outwardly now, on paper, is more Italian than it ever was. On paper, outwardly, to the rest of the world. I would argue that
People
it was
that are
more,
living there, or
Well, let me finish. I would argue that when I was there, and that was even changing enormously at the time when I lived there, that there was a quarter of the amount of restaurants that there are now. There wasn't as many people that were coming in from other places to experience the whole.
What was the majority of? It was bakeries and
Bakeries, butcher
fruit
shops,
stores.
tailors, a lot of funeral homes. But I mean, there was a lot of.
There was fruit stores, bakeries.
But it was an Italian. There was a lot of first generation. There was a lot of Italian immigrants who lived in that neighborhood at that point in time. There was a lot. You would hear Italian spoken on every street corner. You'd walk in every store. There were grocers who spoke Italian. Italian was the culture was everywhere around you. I could almost understand someone in that particular setting identifying it, but once you start getting away from that direct sort of experience, you start getting along down the line, and here we are now in 2023. I don't know. I mean, where is it at?
To be clear, your argument is that it's more Italian now because it's beneficial for tourism than it actually is. Whereas it was actually Italian when you lived there. Now it's
it
not.
was realistically more Italian at that point. Now it's more Italian in the sense where there's a lot of restaurants and a lot of, but it's not. It's not. There are no Italian. There aren't as many Italian people still living there anymore.
I'll add this, right, and I'll make it as clear as I can be. My love for a culture that I was born into is in honor of my parents, and it's in honor of the rest of the family that came before me. It's a point of pride in them. Now, if you were to ask my mother, who is an immigrant, came here when she was 11, on a boat in 1957, right? She will call herself American before she calls herself Italian, right? Because
Well, isn't that ironic that further generations, like case in point, will try to argue the fact that they're Italian, but the original immigrants and you were right, a lot of Italians who came first generation, they tried to become Americans. They wanted to be Americans.
They
It was
did.
more,
My mother was thrown
and they,
immersive,
and they
spoke no
worked
English,
and they
went
worked
right into
and they
sixth
worked
grade.
exponentially hard to assimilate as best as they could.
to a point.
Well, as best as they could.
To a point.
As best as they could. There were some things about American culture they probably couldn't wrap their heads around. They just couldn't get down with. But ultimately, they wanted to be Americans. And ultimately, in the process
That
of
was
that,
their whole goal.
the whole ethnic group became a subset of American culture, as opposed to just strictly, it's an Italian thing, an Italian thing, and an Italian thing, and this is unique to us, and this isn't not like anybody. That's not true.
And you're right. And I've heard stories that real true greasers that came from Italy back in the 50s.
Excuse me?
Well, Italians.
Okay.
Did not.
He gets a free pass to say.
Okay.
I guess.
I could say greasers, but Italians, real Italians.
Why do they call them greases?
Good question. Why did they call them greasers, Jay?
You know,
Why did they call them greasy?
I always thought the greasy hair, but that was the.
It wasn't
50s.
greasy hair. It was because they thought it was greasy hair. They didn't have gel. They used to put Vaseline.
Give us the definition why.
So why they call them
the
greasy?
Vaseline.
Oh, they put Vaseline in the hair.
I have never once in my life put Vaseline.
I'm gonna fact check that.
Anywhere.
Talk to your
near.
guys
father and
continue, I'll
everybody
fact
else.
check.
They put
I
Vaseline.
have never.
in there.
There's never been a jar of Vaseline
that.
in my house in my entire
This
life.
is back in the day when they came
Of
here.
course, you had Vaseline.
I could say this with perfect factuality. There has never been any Vaseline anywhere in my house. I've never saw my father ever go near anything like that.
Back in the day, he did.
Not for his hair.
If you look at the
necessarily, for
pictures, his
something.
hair's slicked back.
Well, I mean that's
That's what they used.
they've been there
might have put
there
some
may
oil
have
in
been
there.
other kind of processes
They
going
might
on.
have put
with
oil
that.
in there.
All right, Bruno, finish with
You
your
ever hear?
greasy-
You ever
greasy
hear
story.
of?
Go ahead.
No, my story,
ahead.
my story is, and to your point, they came in the 50s, the real Italians, and didn't teach their children, or nor did they wanted their children
Not
to
all
speak
of them.
English.
Not all.
And speak Italian. They wanted them to speak English. They changed their names. They went to a degree to change their last names.
all of them, though.
Not all of them, but some. Some of them.
Which put a burden on them.
saying what you just.
Dean Martin.
Well, Dean Martin.
Yeah, a lot of them changed their names. Why'd they change their names? We won't get into that, but anyway.
I can't speak for somebody else. That's
No,
my
they
hope. I
changed their
can't
names
speak
for
somebody
certain
else,
reasons. But yeah, I'm in the same boat with you guys. Both parents came from Italy, one from Sicily, and one from Avellino. I always ask them. I always talk to them. When my grandparents were alive, I'd ask them a million questions. It wasn't the best trip they've ever taken, on that boat for 3 weeks and, everything that went on. And then the whole migration process coming here, you had to make sure you were healthy. I mean, they sacrificed to come here for a reason. Obviously,
And it wasn't to benefit themselves.
no, it was. You know what I do now? I get my mother. I open the bedroom doors for my kids when they're sleeping to 11, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, Ma, if you had to make the trip again to sacrifice for these kids,
Wait,
look
hold
what
on.
you did it for,
Hold
so they
on.
can sleep till noontime.
Let me throw this out there.
She says I wouldn't do it.
Let me throw this out to you. Let me throw this out there to you. Now, is that an Italian thing? Is that just a human thing?
What is?
What he just described. Isn't that a human thing? Doesn't every culture in the world who risks?
No.
Oh God, come on,
No, you're wrong there, Frank.
come on.
There's a lot, the majority of them, yes.
You see, this is what I'm getting at. This is the whole point of my sort of line of reasoning, because this inevitably
I don't
leads
think-
to this.
You think
This is
every
what I'm
parent
talking about.
sacrifices? Is that what we're talking about?
We think every single Italian parent sacrifices?
No.
All right, then what are we talking about? Then what do you
The
argue
majority
about?
of the culture does.
Oh, come on. How do you know that? How do you know
It
that?
was a sacrifice just to leave their country.
The majority of people that you've come across in your life maybe have, but don't speak for an entire ethnic group. I mean, humans are humans no matter where you're going. People are people.
I think Jay's not confusing it. Jay's saying that everybody who emigrated here also made the same sacrifice. I think you misunderstood his rationale.
From anywhere.
No.
From anywhere.
I think you're underestimating how he's overstating what he's saying. He's saying that this whole sort of thing, this whole conversation is about,
I thought you meant people
the
in
sacrifice and what our parents did and blah blah blah. And it's ultimate to say that in the end, the payoff right there is that what they did was unique. That was simply a component of being Italian, and this is what makes Italians so great. Unlike a lot of other people.
I'm not individualizing.
I don't think he went.
I'm not subscribing to that.
I don't know if he went completely there.
I'm not saying.
Wait. Listen. Should I
acknowledge
rewind
a
the
lot
footage
more-
up? Should I rewind the footage up? That's what he just said.
Rewind. Go ahead.
That's what he
fucking
just
rewind.
said.
It's not unique.
That's
Rewind.
what he
Hit
said.
the rewind, man, will you?
That's exactly what he just said.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
You said, does every single culture
And you
sacrifice?
said no, only Italians.
I didn't say only Italians. I said no. Not all the cultures do this.
No.
the
Okay, let me correct you then. What you meant.
Maddie, I need
what
you gotta insert yourself here.
For what?
That's all right. Forget about it.
what you meant to say. What you meant to say to your defense, and I will defend you.
All right, let's get to the top.
Even though I'm playing devil's advocate, we'll end it on this. You meant to say that not everyone does it. You didn't mean to say.
I know
that,
what I said.
That it didn't.
I know what I said.
No. But I'm clarifying.
Not every
it for
culture
you.
sacrifices for the
No,
the
no.
next generation.
Not every culture. So an entire groups of people.
I have to separate them into cultures, groups of people.
How about just say not every person may do that? How about
Person.
try that?
All right.
Okay. Now we can move.
Now we can move on. Well,
That was tough.
I identify as an Italian American because I got to throw the Italian in there because I majority of my whole life I grew up in a heavy Italian culture, and maybe I've been conditioned this way, and my kids will probably say something different. 'Cause they're
Condition, but
too
condition,
different.
condition what? To think what?
To say I'm Italian, and
And that's all fine.
I keep
That's all fine.
Like Anthony
That's all
says,
fine. My
after
point-
so
my
many
point to say-
generations ahead, you're going to forget about that. You're going to be
All right, let's move on to the next question. Let's go. Come on.
Come
on. Please, move on.
So my other question was going to be, what did what do you think? Why they came to America? What made them come to America, and was it the right move for them?
Why did they come to America?
Hindsight's 2020. You
Yeah.
can't really.
Well, if you had conversations with your parents,
had conversations, they're not going to regret anything because it led them to where they are right now.
The Mezzogiorno in Italy, where the majority of them all came from,
Yeah.
was, destitution. It was so poor.
well, they've been migrating since the late 1800s.
Yeah, but it was so poor. It was an agrarian culture with not enough land for everybody, not enough ability to farm for everybody, and there was nowhere else to go for them. They had no other choice. There wasn't like there was a ton of options and they said, okay, let's do this. There was no other options. They heard the stories.
No industry south of Rome.
Exactly.
There was nothing.
There was no industries up north. All that didn't come till later, till after the war that all came. So basically they had no choice. They had to
But even
do something.
after the war, most of our families.
But the southern part especially, was devastated by the war. Italy took a few decades to recover from the effects of basically being on the wrong side of the war.
Let's acknowledge our parents. They came in the late 50s and the early 60s, most of them.
Okay.
Except for Bruno's, they had a
But I mean, you heard. I mean, you know, we want to go back. You heard the stories about Torre. You heard the stories about the village. You heard how poor it was. I mean, you know,
they
I mean,
basically
Nano was trying to farm on a hill that was basically all rock. I mean, evidently that wasn't enough to sustain his family. So what option did you have, right?
No, it was a tough life for them, especially being 9 of them, and you know, trying to feed every kid. I could imagine the pressure and the stress he had on himself. And I give him
Don't you
credit.
agree?
Yeah, but you got to give them
agree.
credit. You know, no education. You know, working hard, and they had the will to pick up and come to this country, which
Via chain migration for the most part.
it was a little easier going towards the 50s,
Well, I mean,
60s.
but we also got to remember that they had a very kind of
But it's still tough to be by yourself.
Each
for 4 or 5 years.
each individual family unit kind of had its own little tribal mentality. So basically, when the top had made the decision, they all fell in line and went along with it.
But it was still
It wasn't to say that they all sat around the table and said, okay, they took a vote. I mean, Nano decided to come here because Nano came here prior to them actually ever
By
leaving there.
himself.
Yeah, because he sort of just checked things out and paved the way a little bit. Then went back and got his family to bring him here. I mean,
they came in-
Hey, listen, my father. Well, let me just say this, so you can go on for the next hour. My father didn't want to come here. Didn't want to come here. My father says to this day how much more he may have been if he had stood there. He felt as though he was shortchanged by having to come here because he didn't have a say in it. I'm not saying whether that's true, and I'm not even going to pass judgment on that. I'm just saying how he felt. So this idea that they were all in equanimity with one another, saying, okay, you know, let's all sacrifice as one. Dude, it's a little more complicated than that. You know what I mean? A little more complex. Go ahead.
Do you know how the
My mother's town in Italy, when she left in 1957, didn't have indoor plumbing. They washed clothes in the river. There was one big oven in town that everybody put their that everybody cooked their bread in. They had to mark their loaves of bread to ensure that their loaf would come back to them. It was profoundly pescatarian. There was no real meat outside of holidays.
What town are we talking about?
This is a town called Ischitella. It's in Foggia.
Okay.
Right, it's Foggia, right? So that was abject poverty. And they're not that they knew that it just was. That's because everybody was the same.
Right.
So that side's migration started with an uncle who then brought everybody else over, right? And that was sort of how everything. You had one sort of scout, let's call it, and that scout came over, scoped the shit out.
I like that.
Right? Yeah. Found where they were going to live, found common people. They said, all right, I got this place, and then they'd all pack into these multifamily houses or whatever, and then do their job either in labor or food or whatever it was. And that's just what they did.
Right.
And all that with the intention of providing for the next generation. At least that's the story that I've been told.
Okay.
Right? I can verify everything other than the fact that they moved for me.
That's probably common to
And
most.
I would agree with them. They did. They certainly sacrificed. Even to this day, they have.
Right.
Right? They put everything into me.
Right.
It's where a lot of my nonsense comes from. But yeah, basically it was all put on me. And that's great.
So what you're saying, because we kind of had off-camera discussions about this, so what you're saying is that their sacrifice for you, for me, everyone sitting at this table, led to our privilege? Would you say that?
100%. I'm extraordinarily privileged.
how are you privileged?
In every way, shape, and form. My parents spent $120,000 on my high school education,
And they took
and then another $200,000 on my
they,
college education.
and they took your test, they did your homework, they did all that for you.
No, but they're...
Who did it?
I did.
What's ironic about that?
Doesn't matter.
What's
They
ironic
instilled-
about that? What's ironic about
They
that?
could spend $1 million on me. I would have filled everything.
Initially, you were
Just do not, but that doesn't mean anything.
Initially, you were saying. Initially, you were saying.
My mind wasn't there. I was
Initially, you were saying that everything that we did was referenced by our past. Now you're saying to him that his life is strictly his own. Well, I mean, it's either which one
I
is it?
didn't say it was his own.
You just said it. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
he-
arguing.
All right, let me finish.
Go ahead.
I guess the word privilege, it's a very strange word, you know what I mean?
Not a strange word
They
at
made
all.
it vile today.
It's not a strange
Everybody's
word at all.
privileged.
In its purest sense,
Because our parents were privileged from their parents,
No, they weren't privileged in actuality. That was the whole point of why they had to immigrate, because they weren't privileged.
definition of the word privilege and what you take out of it. My privilege was financial and monetary. Their privilege was time.
which you
my parents.
you parlayed. You put your
Well, their
work
pri-
and effort into
their privilege
passing
also.
all your
Well, their privilege
high school and
also.
college.
Their privilege also is they had an entire family unit behind them for everything that they did in
Right.
their life. That was
They invested
they
in
had
you,
a
Anthony.
support system that enabled them to make these sort of sacrifices. They didn't do it in a vacuum. They had this beautiful support system around them, which is great, which a lot of people don't have nowadays. That's one thing. If you want to talk about one thing that made them unique, that
I'll go
was
with
that.
support system.
Let's go.
I would say
All right.
you had a great support system.
I had my parents, my family. There was
That's
a
what
great
you had.
support system, but my point is that's still privilege.
Okay, but how
It's
hard
my
is it to be
privilege.
supportive of
So
your
you think
kid?
let me ask you a
not
question.
hard to be
Let me ask you a
supportive of your
question. Do
kids.
you think under any circumstance, in any form of any sort of human relation that you can think of in history, that some sort of privilege has never existed? We all come into this life strictly on our own.
I'm going to tell you what the fucking word bothers me for, because privilege separates people.
Of course it does.
Okay, but it
100%.
doesn't. One chose to support and one chose not to support.
Choosing
But
to support
listen,
involves-
It's a choice.
Hold on, hold on,
It's
hold on,
a
hold on,
choice.
hold on, hold on.
You're not gonna change my mind on that.
One person choosing to support and the other one choosing not to has nothing to do with negating each one out. The fact is they're individual sort of things. I'll give you a case in point. If there was no such thing as privilege, the communist revolution never would have happened in Russia, because there was an entire class of people that lived in X amount of privilege, while the vast majority of everybody else were actually
hold on.
the vast majority of everybody else was receptive to this. They were receptive to that.
What is it, Jay?
They were receptive to that. I didn't want to show it, but since we're talking about privilege, I am going to show this guy right here.
Oh, that's the best.
Now, if there was no such thing as a privilege, this guy would not be on a T-shirt, but he is. So, Anthony, please.
Jeez, and I thought I surprised everyone with mortadella sandwiches.
That was a better surprise.
The privilege does not
better.
come from choice, right? Given abject poverty, you could not choose to do what my parents did for me. They made a choice with what they had. That's privilege. A choice in the absence of the have is not privilege. It's still a choice. You can choose to be supportive of your kid, but if you have no fucking money, right, and if you have no resources, you can't choose to send them to an elite private school. You can't choose to send them to an Ivy
There's
League
plenty
college.
of resources today.
No, there isn't. It's not the same shit.
Why are you not willing to come around to this?
Because I'm not. There's plenty of resources.
I'm not
for
saying I
everybody.
didn't
Because I've
work-
seen the poor
No, and actually-
become middle class
Some
and
poor,
rich.
some poor, not all poor, some
It's
poor.
the ones who have the energy and
Oh,
and
God, come
and
on.
the energy to
Come
become
on.
supportive and go to the right
You
road.
listen.
If you
well,
choose,
hold
if you
on.
choose-
Let me ask you a question. Can you speak authoritatively on what it's like to be poor?
Today, nothing.
No. I'm talking about
We're talking materialistic.
your entire
or poor?
your entire life experience. Can you speak authoritatively? You're speaking for an entire social strata.
Poor
of people.
is-
I'm telling you, as an individual, can you speak authoritatively on what it's like to be poor?
Poor would be.
You've been subjected to the propaganda about the poor. You've been told a lot of things about the poor.
Yeah, I'm not subjected to.
Of course you are, because you just said that the reason why they're
let me answer the
poor
fucking
is because they're
question.
choosing to be poor.
You just asked me a question. You didn't give me a chance to answer it.
Well, why would I? That's the whole point.
Exactly.
That's how you win debates, my friend.
Poor is a mental thing. Poor is nothing but a mental thing. Unless you're
Wait,
disabled.
hold on. So now, a second ago was being unfair, but you just said exactly what I just
I
said.
didn't say it was unfair. It's not. It's fair across the board. You have to get up in the morning. You have to get up in the morning and do the right thing.
You think that you think people who lived in Appalachia back in the 50s were there out of a choice because they chose not to get up a little earlier than the guy who lived out in the suburbs, right? You think that that's it?
Fucking escape.
Come on.
Escape.
Come
the
on.
Italians escaped.
Come
they were
on.
prisoners of
Here
war.
we go again with the Italians.
Because I'm a
Here
fucking
we
Italian.
go.
These are the stories I know.
You're an American. You were born here, my
Italian-American.
friend. You were born
I'm
here.
American. I
You were
said
born
that.
here.
I said Italian American. My kids will just say American. I'm half.
You were American too. You were born here.
I said I was born.
Constitutionally, you are an American citizen.
All right. That's enough.
All right.
Calm the fuck down.
get up in the morning and go to work. You
No.
Oh, there you go. There you go again. There you
won't
go
be
again.
privileged.
Bruno, I
You
want to
won't
get your
be
input,
privileged.
and I want to get Frank's input, because I have a feeling Jay and I are sort of on the same page about this. Right?
Turn the fucking page, will you?
You wake up right now,
Yes.
tomorrow. You are absolutely impoverished. You have a minimum wage job because you have no education. Now, theoretically, as Frank said, you can be middle class, or you can work that minimum wage job, right? You can work 4 of them, right? And you can get enough money to be middle class by dollar, not by lifestyle, right? Now, do you then get the opportunity to make that choice for the next generation? My parents chose to support me, right? They had the means to do so. They had the time sometimes. My mother certainly did. My father, not so much. He was working all the time. Now, if you're a single parent and you get 3 fucking jobs and you're choosing to support your kid, can you also choose to get them an private SAT tutor? Can you choose to pay for the college entrance exams, which are fucking $100 a piece?
Whoa. Of course you can.
down.
All it takes
Tone
is
it down.
all it takes is to get up a little early in the morning, doesn't it?
Well, no,
I can prove it to you right now.
Oh, God.
I told you, poverty is a mental thing.
Oh God!
You could be-
and you speak on this authoritatively
Because if you're
you've been
handicapped or
poor.
something like that, of course you
You've
need
been
help.
poor.
But it's a mental thing.
It's not
you
listen.
just
Listen,
mentioned-
I can inform you.
Hold on.
that it's
Can I
not.
fucking answer the question?
But you do.
You
You-
never let me answer the
You
question.
answered your own question.
wanna
You
hear-
I'm
gotta
gonna
put
answer
it
this
out. All right,
question.
go ahead.
Let me answer. Let me
wanna
see
hear
what
it.
let's go ahead.
I am married to somebody who grew up with a single parent, the mother.
Okay.
All 3 girls went to college.
Okay.
Okay? All 3 girls, one of them owns their own business, and the other 2 had jobs. One became my partner. Fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know.
And listen, God.
And they're all successful fucking people.
God bless them.
Coming from
God,
zero.
Listen, God
The
bless
lady was
them.
making salads. How much money
God-
could she be making?
Listen, God bless them.
And they figured it out.
God bless them. They did wonderful in life. But do you?
I just proved my fucking point.
You didn't prove your point. Anecdotal evidence is not statistical evidence.
Because of
my
one
friend.
family.
Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
go on with multiple families.
Good.
Here's
Once
the trick.
again, you could
Here's
go
the
on.
fucking
You
trick.
could go on to
Here's
20
the trick.
families. It
Don't do
doesn't
drugs.
matter.
Don't drink alcohol.
that's all it
Don't get
takes,
fucking
man.
in trouble.
That's all it
Do
takes.
the right thing,
That's all it
and everything
takes.
will be okay.
Yeah, okay.
That's the fucking trick.
But
Not
you're
the
not
trick.
saying it's
Not
not
the
across the board. You're saying it happens to
don't-
it
we gotta
happens
switch,
it
because
happens
this is
to some
going nowhere.
people, not all.
You heard it, kids.
It
No
happens-
drugs, no alcohol.
If
You will be
rich.
rich.
On the fucking porch. If you're
guy-
gonna sit in the porch
not
and get
only-
high all day,
not only he
and
wants-
drink
hold
all
on,
day,
hold
you're
on.
going nowhere.
Not
I'll tell
only
you
he
right
wants
now.
you to
You're gonna go
sacrifice,
fucking nowhere.
He wants you to sacrifice.
taking a piss.
He wants to take. He wants to take the fun out of everything
Hey,
too.
Hey, use the toilet because you're fucking privileged. Me, I go outside. I keep myself raw.
Why did he use it last time?
All right, listen, calm down, please. Fucking head. I got a list over here.
It's fine. There's nothing to calm down about.
What a calming down. We're having a conversation, and we respectfully disagree.
I love it.
Nothing wrong with that. Not wrong with that at all.
So,
Think
I
you
gotta
did.
wait for Anthony.
Think you did wrong, but
what I like to talk about, and I'll bring the Italians, but you know,
Yeah.
but I like. You didn't let me finish.
Keep it going. The Italians. The Italians. The
The
Italians.
Mediterraneans.
The thunder and lightning. It's
The
because of the
Mediterranean.
Italians.
Originally, I wanted to make this
sky's
around the
blue 'cause of the
Mediterranean. But we happen
Italians.
to be Italians. We're just going to talk about this first episode about Italians because we're Italian. But other than that, I respect all the Mediterranean area.
What about the Asian people? What about the African people? What about the Baltic people? What about the South American people?
That's part of the Mediterranean area, isn't it?
The Baltic? Well, no.
The Africans, Northern Africans,
Well, I mean, not South
the
Africa.
Middle Easterns. Right, throw the fucking Asians in there. Yeah, absolutely. They've done a lot of fun.
Throw the Asians in there.
Oh, they're up.
Can you agree?
above.
Can you agree with me that we are? Can you not agree with me that we are? And I'm being a little bit shamanistic here, but can you?
Chamonix that you're being.
Well, I wear that with a badge of honor on my sleeve.
Come on in. Come on in.
And maybe I'm being a little bit kind of spiritual here, but aren't we necessarily sort of like spirit beings having a human experience? But according to you, we're human beings, either that we have an Italian experience or everything else afterwards.
We're just talking about Italians because of this first episode.
I get
That's
it. I get it.
I'm
and
ready to bring in the rest of the
I'm
people.
putting a blowtorch to it because I know it raises your blood pressure.
I would argue that.
No, this is how we talk. I mean,
I would argue
it goes
that the-
up and then it goes down.
I would argue the last 15 minutes have completely proven Frank's point that we are all Italian.
All right, great.
Yeah, I guess so, right?
So, I'm gonna.
All right, go
I'll
ahead,
remove
go
the
ahead.
word Italian.
No, you keep it. I like
All
it.
right, what did the Italians
Gets me going.
positively bring to this country? Was it a positive thing for the Italians to come to this country or not?
Anthony, you better handle that one. Go ahead.
That ain't.
Before someone shits on it, I'll let him go. So,
I'm not going to shit on anything. They brought.
For the record, Anthony also graduated at Harvard because his parents did his homework for him, and then they did your test. and
God, I wish
everything,
they do.
right?
I wish
they
they
wrote
would.
your application.
I wish they would have did it for me.
No, but what I will say, no bullshit. This is privilege. I'll tell you exactly privilege.
Can we remove the word? I thought
No.
we changed
Oh,
it.
here we
No,
go again.
we're not removing the word. When I was in 7th grade, I asked my father if I could go to a private school. I felt like I wasn't being challenged in the public school.
Which one?
My grades.
Which one?
I don't want to name it, just in case I talk shit about it later.
You recognize this yourself, Anthony?
I recognize
Or did a
this
teacher?
myself. No, I recognize this myself.
No teacher.
No, I was in detention every single day. I had perfect marks in all my classes, but I was disruptive as hell. I had to take my classes in separate rooms. I was obnoxious.
What'd your dad say?
My dad said, "You get in, I'll pay." That was what my father said. I was independently hardworking.
Run it by your mom as well?
No.
Yeah, but he had it. When
I'm
he
being
was a
honest.
kid.
I didn't-
I remember you running around, and you had a lot of energy.
I-
You already knew a lot when you were
But
young.
this is where the privilege comes in.
The privilege is that he had your back. The
privilege
he already answered your question.
No, that's not even the privilege. Here's the privilege. And this is something I've never said publicly. And if the school ever found out, not that they could fucking do anything now, but I wanted to make sure that I knew I could get into the school on my own. I took the independent school entrance exam, the ISEEs. I took that and I absolutely smoked them, right? It wasn't a question. I was going to get into the school. But I wanted to make sure that when I got into the school, right, that I was in all the advanced classes. I didn't want to screw around. I wanted to be in those classes. But all of the stuff that I had learned in the public school system already, because I wasn't allowed to take any of the advanced classes because of my disciplinary issues, precluded me from learning that stuff.
Or
So-
disciplinary issue.
So where's the...
My point is,
Yeah.
we had a take-home placement test after I got into the school. Placement test to know what classes I would be put into. I took one look at the math placement test, and it looked like a foreign language to me. My father, who's got 3 degrees from MIT, looked at it and he said, "I'll help you." So yeah, he did do my homework. He got me into the class, and then I had to kill it from there. That's privilege.
Who did your father
Nobody.
to get those 3 degrees?
Nobody.
I call that privilege.
That's privilege.
We
I
are
call that-
individuals.
I call it
We
kind of
all
lucky
grew up-
that his
we all
dad
grew-
had 3, privilege. Yeah, Frank's
Oh.
right. Privilege, the
We
word...
have a different environment in every different family.
You're asking
It was
my
a different
opinion?
environment.
The vast majority of my family was blue collar, except for my pop.
Yeah, I'm asking your opinion. Was he privileged that his dad did that?
No, I was privileged that my high school cost $25,000 a year. That was privilege.
I don't have such a. I just take privilege as a fact. I don't look at it as negative
Privilege
or a
comes from
positive.
sacrifice from someone.
So
And it
I
takes
would agree,
someone to
100%.
Okay, yeah, we said that initially.
100%.
Okay.
There
And
are
I believe anybody can do
a
it.
parent's sacrifice
If
is
you're healthy and mentally
the
stable,
payoff.
you
The
can do it.
payoff of a parent's sacrifice is a child's privilege.
Well, let's
Why
take.
do you have children for?
So you agree in the end, then?
To support them.
All right. So you agree that that is privilege,
But people have been having children for decades.
but not everyone.
Centuries.
Not everyone is able to do that for their children.
What would be the reason why they couldn't do it?
Oh God, here we go again.
So Italians have contributed a number of wonderful things to American culture.
Yeah, let's go there.
I'm just going to name some stuff.
Go ahead.
Beautiful masonry. Wonderful additions to American cuisine, because what you find now is now a bastardization of Italian, but it's still good and tasty and everything else. Art, science, any number of applications outside of what's portrayed of us in the media. Right? So let's use that. Go.
Go ahead.
Why are you so mushy mush?
No, I agree.
You seem like you're
I
devastated.
talked to
Go ahead.
I'm going from facts when I talk to my
All right, so-
grandparents and
so-
my mother and father. You know, they used to tell me,
Secondhand evidence is inadmissible in court. Remember that.
True,
Hearsay.
but just the experience
Hearsay,
where they grew up.
exactly.
Where they grew up.
All right. So what do you list?
Not grew up,
What,
where they
what,
lived
what do
here
you what do
in
you
America,
what do you
in
con,
Boston.
what do you consider to be paramount contributions the Italians have made to the American?
I think they brought a big contribution when it comes to food introducing certain foods. We were predominantly all Italian restaurants at one time with pizza places, restaurants, delis, bakeries. He fucking laughs. That's good. Bakeries. I mean, it was all Italian owned.
Why the
Italian
producers laughing?
Food that was
That's-
presented.
that's all
But you're
great.
right. It wasn't from.
And let me ask you a question. And listen, I'm not dissing the fact that Italian Americans, of course, they made a manifold.
They made a big impact.
They made a manifold of impressive contributions to the life of this country. Of course,
As entrepreneurs,
I'm
in
not
this
even. I
country
mean,
also,
listen.
which they never acknowledge.
It's evident everywhere around you. I don't even need to go into the details of what they are. I mean, go through New York. I mean, they're everywhere. Everything that was built in everything that was built in areas where they immigrated to, for the most part, were built by Italian labor. Of course,
When they did the big
and
dig
of
in
course-
Boston, who'd they ship
and
in
of
for
course, and of
engineers?
course, with the help,
Italy.
with the help
Engineers.
of a lot of Irish labor, but that's not necessarily true for everywhere in the country. But in the areas certainly where they immigrated to, and like you said, Italian scientists, Italian writers, Italian politicians, Italian of every stripe in life, and that's what Italian Americans ought to wear with the badge of honor in their sleeve. That's perfectly acceptable. I mean, who would have a problem
Well,
with that?
that's another thing. You know, talk about privileged. The Irish, when they came to this country, and I love the Irish. We got Irish cousins. You know, right from my uncle was from Belfast.
But what's the but? Go ahead.
They knew the.
There's no fun.
They knew the. No, I like it, but I'm gonna give him another answer that he's not gonna like. They came to this country and they knew the language. That's why they became the first politicians. They ran the police departments. They ran everything. And what did the Italians do?
Who are
They-
who basically in this part of the country?
This part of the country.
This
I'm
part
talking-
of the
this is part
country,
I
this
know,
part of the country,
where
who,
they migrated.
this part of the country, who were the original settlers here? The people who set up the power structures, set up industry. Who were they initially?
The English.
Yeah,
The
of course.
British,
Yeah.
English.
Do you realize the blood feud that the Irish and the English had? Do you realize what the Irish had to overcome in order, when they first came here, to even be able to set up shop? And listen, human nature is what it is. When they were able to set up shop, as everyone else does, I mean, people are people no matter what stripe they come in life. But that's not important. You're suggesting that, you know, it was different for them because they spoke the language.
It was easier.
It wasn't.
Somewhat
It
easier.
wasn't easier at all. They went through an identical sort of experience
You're
that
saying
we went
earlier
to.
than the late 1800s.
They came a little earlier. Their story came maybe a few decades earlier than ours did, but it was still a very similar story to what we had. Very similar. Very
took
similar.
advantage of
And
us.
very similar to the African Americans. Granted, you got to understand when we all came here, our ancestors and the Irish ones started coming right about the time that the Civil War had started. So, you know, and they came and took a lot of the jobs that were lost after slavery had gotten abolished. So, you know, these groups of people, whether it's African American, whether it's Irish, whether it's Italian, or anybody else afterwards, we've all had the same kind of experience.
Language barrier.
I understand
The
that.
Italians came. They were still coming.
But
in
none
the
of them
50s,
had. But
60s,
none
and
of them had.
70s.
None of them had it easy. I mean, the Irish Catholics were
No,
targets.
they had to eat shit and
The
had to
Irish,
get the bottom of the
but the
barrel
Irish,
job that
but,
you were talking
but the
about.
Irish but so did the Irish though. Irish were
did the
sort of the
same.
same.
Yeah, but you were saying if he went to get a job for $3 an hour, the Italians went for fucking $3-5 a day. Sure. They made it. They bought houses.
But you're talking in the 60s. You're talking in the 60s, dude. You're not talking
But they made it.
who?
I don't know the
But
statistic.
they,
how many made
but
it.
listen,
Someone made it.
listen. The Italians batted fifth. The Irish batted first. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what that came down
He
to.
was talking about if he went to work today, $3 an hour, single parent. They proved that you can do it.
That is an impossibility under current standards.
Yeah,
Under current standards.
Under current standards. You're
I
talking.
disagree.
You're talking-
If you go on welfare today, it's the equivalent amount of someone making.
Now let me ask you a
$60,000.
question. Let me
So
let me
got
ask
some
you a
kind of
question.
head start.
Let me ask you a
Look,
question.
look,
Let me ask you a
it's-
hypothetical.
Look it up.
Let me ask you a question.
Between healthcare,
Let me-
I don't
it's
hold
check
on.
every week,
Wait,
and all the
hold on,
food you
hold
get.
on. Let me ask you a
Okay.
question. Let me
What
ask
am
you-
I off? Five grand?
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
I'm not. Listen,
Let me ask you.
people need
Let me
welfare.
ask you.
I'm not against
Let me ask
it.
you a question.
People do
Let
need
me ask
help,
you a question.
but it puts them to
Saying it.
sleep.
I am going to hijack this conversation. Let me
You're
ask you
hijacking
this.
me forever here. Get me out of the cuffs.
Story of my life. But listen, all the social welfare programs you're talking
Tony, give
about
me something to
basically
take the edge
got implemented, correct me if I'm wrong, during the Great Society, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this was the 1960s.
Yes.
So prior to that, these things didn't exist. You're suggesting that they came here had all this largesse that was available from the government, and they chose not to take it and decided to be all self-starters and be independent workers.
Well, but you can consider Genesis for
so
that the New
you
Deal,
can't,
though.
you can't compare what's happening now to what would have happened then, because once again, we go back to what I said. They left a situation of destitution to find a little bit of an I wouldn't even use the word opportunity, to find a chance. They were looking just for a chance. Not so much opportunity. They were looking for a chance. They came here to get a chance.
And they did anything they could.
Because they had
make it happen.
they had no choice. There was no other
Who's
option. Any immigrant
Who's they?
group prior to the Great Society, they
All
were,
immigrants?
yeah, for the most part,
Really?
yeah. What
That answer didn't exist 20
who?
minutes ago.
What did?
That answer. When I say all immigrants.
All immigrants up to a certain point in time.
They sacrificed. They ate shit and did what
But
they had to
and
do.
not everyone wound up having a house in the suburbs being independently wealthy. I mean, some did, as anybody would, as some natural-born
Did
citizens.
they
that
live better than they lived back in the old country?
It's debatable. My father doesn't think he lived all that different, but he thought he lived better there.
But this is a mental thing. Like I said, some people don't care. You can have millions of dollars.
You
and
just
still
you
live.
want that narrative, man.
Yeah, because it's
You
about
just want that
it's
narrative,
about the
huh?
individual.
You want that
it's about the
narrative.
individual.
Huh?
It's about the individual. How they want to live.
All right. Okay, so then, I mean, I'm arguing that at the end of the day, we all come into this life as individuals. You're arguing that everything about us that had nothing to do with what we are says everything about us.
It does.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. It really doesn't.
You know what? I got a perfect question for the end.
Good.
So, positively, any more? You got anything to say about what they did?
It's just going to
positively?
devolve into something else.
On a positive level.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with.
I'm just saying there was a language barrier that they could have done a lot more, and because there was a lot of entrepreneurs, Italian entrepreneurs that
But a lot of Italians done better. A lot of Italians did do better. That's the point. A lot did do
What
better.
did your parents do for work when they came here?
Not much, Anthony. One, my dad was a union laborer, and my mom was a housewife.
Okay.
You know, that's
They
about
had
it.
5 kids.
5 kids, no language. In the barrier languages, they didn't speak at all. They didn't speak to the day they died. No. You know, not well at all. So
But,
I've had a lot of conversations with my parents down the road, and they always regretted coming here. How's that for you? Always telling me.
Well, that's a long story.
That's a complete long story.
Even
but
myself, I'm one of the oldest
think
cousins.
about that for a minute.
yeah.
And they didn't teach me how to speak English because they didn't know how to speak English. So it took me to, I thought it was a great experience in my life. First, second grade, forget about English. Then they put me and my cousins all lived near each other. One lived behind me, one lived down the street. We got on a short yellow bus, and they took us to this bilingual school.
It was the short
It
bus.
was. I remember it was short.
They say okay.
And they brought us to bilingual school. It was-
They told him it
I
was a
remember as
bilingual
a kid.
school.
You lost me.
I remember the short.
I remember
bus.
as a kid.
lost
I
me.
wasn't ever
In
on it.
bilingual school, we had to learn English.
Totally lost
But
me.
every kid had
Dad.
brown bags, the same sandwiches.
I remember
everything.
the short
It was a
bus.
great experience.
Not at all.
But unfortunately, when I was a kid, I swore a lot too. I don't know why I picked it up. And I used to yell, we're in a 2-family. My mother used to yell at me all the time. And she used to yell, "State sheet, state sheet." My cousins that lived behind us, they were more Americanized, even though Megalina was from Italy. But my uncle was already born here. I think there were 2 generations here, so they spoke Italian. So my cousin used to say, "Why does your mother keep telling you to start the Jeep? You guys own a Jeep?" And that's where "start the Jeep" came from. But eventually, it was a battle in school. Just, I was the kid they took out of class to bring them downstairs to teach them those Twilight books to read out. Yeah, to read
Twilight
English.
books? What's
Fixed
Twilight?
on phonics.
They were called Twilight books. Phonics, Twilight books.
Like
They
this,
were. I remember.
like the Hardy Boys or something like that?
Phonics.
So you know what? Thank God I had thick skin.
Hardy-
I didn't.
yeah.
I didn't really
Hardy
care
Boys,
what
yeah.
anybody said.
Nancy
you know
Drew?
what I mean?
Nancy Drew.
Still spoke a little broken. I didn't
Cat in the
care.
Hat, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Cat in the hat.
Whatever. Like
in
you
the hat,
took
no?
the hottest classes. I looked for 3 gym classes and an art class. I wanted to graduate and get out. But what I did
I
differently.
do not like green eggs and ham.
No, I want prosciutto and ham.
Sam, I am.
You know what I wanted?
Prosciutto
hold
to
on,
frittata.
hold on. I'll interrupt. You know what I wanted? I wanted fucking Lucky Charms. That's what I wanted.
No, I never.
Yeah, you
ate
weren't
that
getting them though.
garbage.
Huh?
You weren't getting them though.
Yeah, it was hard. It was a battle.
It was
You weren't getting
But
them.
it made it all the more worth it when I did get it.
So in my defense, why I defend the Italian heritage because, yeah, all that shit cereals. I didn't eat nothing of the garbage that they. Even today, I don't eat.
Oh wow.
No,
Wow.
my
He's
breakfast was
editorializing right
my
there. I
breakfast
like
was
that.
espresso and Stella D'oro
Yeah.
cookies, mashed up. Go to school.
I guess all that sodium and fat was just as good for you, right? Yeah.
We didn't know what was good for us back then. Now we're all.
But you just
health
said it was
freaks.
crap. Lucky Charms was crap, so you
Garbage.
evidently, huh?
Yeah, it was sugar.
But
You
that-
never had cookies?
Stella
Yeah.
D'oro, I don't have the ingredients right.
they
I
were
don't even make them.
they were given to you with a bit of pizzazz and sentiment.
How could you like Lucky
Jason, it
Charms?
was made by an Italian. Stella D'oro. That's all I cared.
Hold on, how come you like Lucky
Dora,
Charms?
Stella D'oro
I
was
like
probably as Italian as the guy who owns the Kowloon's.
How about
Please,
some sugar smacks? Nothing. I
You
didn't
didn't
like any
like-
cereals.
Wow.
Look how prideful he says that. You know what I mean? Like so like prideful.
I mean, I went out of my way to get them, and I didn't get them.
Wasn't it okay to go off the grid a little bit? You weren't insulting your ancestors by having sugar smacks. You know what I'm saying? Just
But
one.
let's talk about that. Let's talk about when we were kids. Did your mother make you lunch and you had to
course.
bring it to school?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I
Brown
guess.
bag it.
Yeah. I had brown bag.
So when we were young, did you have an issue with it? Because the
You
whole
know-
class.
And
did
you know what
brown
I
bag
had?
it.
You know what I had, and I think this probably speaks volumes about me. I know we're gonna get the mortadella, and that's all delicious. It's all great. You know what I preferred? A peanut butter sandwich. Peanut butter
Did
sandwich.
you get it, Jay, or did you just
No
prefer?
fluff.
No,
jelly,
I
have the-
I liked a plain Skippy's peanut butter sandwich.
No, I'm just saying. Did you have the?
Wholesome American is Coca-Cola, and all of the everything else.
Just a peanut butter sandwich.
I loved it.
And did you
You
get?
want
Did
us
you,
to eat a sandwich with super glue in it?
what I'm asking, did you get it? Did you end up
How'd
getting?
you fucking swallow that?
Hold on.
Well, I
What
mean,
kind of
you know,
bread?
well, I mean, let's.
Jay, did you-
Let's call us. I mean, let's.
Did you get it, or did you have to fight for it?
Why have to fight?
Well, I don't know.
We live in Russia here.
one
I
of
mean,
the
why would I got to fight for it? My mother was American.
Yeah, true. You're right.
She wasn't American.
My mother was American. She didn't grow up with a mortadella in one
fooled
hand,
me.
and she was American. She was born here. Her parents were born here. My mother was a second generation
I
American.
think it says a lot about Jay how he would prefer a peanut butter sandwich to anything else.
That's amazing.
Because Jason will be the whatever you ask him for, he will give you the opposite answer, despite whether or not he agrees.
In actuality, if you think I'm saying it just for the sake of saying it to get a reaction, you are 100% dead wrong.
No. I didn't say.
If you had put this on the table to me right this second, you put Arbitz over here, you put mortadella over here, I would take a piece of bread and I would spread peanut butter on it.
just because you
That
learn to love
is
it doesn't mean it's good.
That is a personal choice. You know why? And it wasn't my parents' choice. It wasn't my father's choice. It wasn't my grandfather's choice. It wasn't my uncle that I never met's choice. It was my choice. I could feel prideful that I made sure that that I loved everything that everyone in surround me loved. I made sure that, and listen, I loved all that too. That was all great. I'm not dissing that food at all.
Some Wonder Bread.
Beautiful.
We have some Skippy in the house. Look at that.
no, that's
Well,
natural.
you
though.
see,
It can't be
yeah,
Skippy's
he's
and
right.
Wonder
I was
Bread.
going to say I preferred the one with partially hydrogenated oil.
Hold on. You
mean,
answer the
this
question
is-
about which bread did you use?
I use bread from what do you call it? Paziali Umberto.
Thank God. Thank
Well,
God.
no,
You
no,
made one good
but no,
decision.
but in actuality, I would have preferred Wonder Bread.
It's like gum.
Huh?
Wonder Bread was like gum. That was another sin. If you ever bought, I never seen it in my house. That's why I made one. Anthony made a big
broadening your
sandwich.
horizons, man. Broadening your horizons.
But earlier, before the conversation, Anthony made a nice 2-foot-long sandwich.
Whoever provided this, thank you. Very,
This was the size of the
Means a lot
sandwich
to me.
when we were kids. And imagine being in fourth grade. You got to whip out. Actually, it was doubled in that size. It was the Boschetto breads from the North End there. Remember the round? And the
all right, since we're talking about food, let's go down the line. And he may argue once again that I'm being a contrarian for the sake of contrarian, just to piss all you guys off, but I'm kind of really not. If I seem like I'm a freakazoid to, it is what it is. Favorite foods, your favorite.
Hold on. Before we get into that, let me just finish this about the lunches.
Oh, okay,
I have a
yeah.
question.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
So the size of the sandwich as a little kid in fourth grade, it was doubled in that.
Sure.
I told you guys, leave me a good size that we used to get, but you guys were piranhas. You ate the whole sandwich. Now, it was weird eating the sandwich in the class, but everybody was like, hey, can I have a piece? So, plus, your mother used to put fruits, a little bit of fruit in there, and some chocolates or whatever she used to put in there. It was a big lunch, a banana. Now, Bruno, I want you to share a story because once I went into your truck, your van. You had a van at the time.
God.
And I experienced something that I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Jay, did you ever see?
I did, yes. Yeah.
Wait till Anthony hears about this.
I think I ate a couple of them too.
Now,
I was like, "Ooh, this is still good."
I didn't find it embarrassing to bring. During high school, my mother made me lunch throughout high school.
Well, we grew up in two different
High
demographics.
school.
You and I grew up in two different
3
demographics.
years young. You're 3 years.
No. I'm talking two different areas as well, Frank.
Yeah, you know what? My
Complete
parents,
different areas. You don't call Medford wasn't Somerville. Somerville wasn't Medford.
It was all the same. Unfortunately, my parents.
wasn't the same.
They never.
No.
I never went to a sub shop. I never went to a pizza place.
It wasn't
I
the
never had that
same. It
experience.
wasn't the same. We had different people. I grew up with a lot of hardcore Irish that ate Wonder Bread, and if they saw that, I was a dinosaur.
So what did you do with your mother's sandwiches?
I was a dinosaur.
In the brown
So
bags?
in elementary school, first, second grade,
I'm going as you had a license and you were going to work.
I probably did the same because I was embarrassed and I watched them eat,
Did you throw it away?
and I probably took it back home. I didn't understand the throw it away, so I took it back home and probably ate maybe a school lunch, a slice of pizza, or whatnot. Anthony, fast forward 25, 30 years, working. My mother, 20,
working for an electric-
25 years. As an apprentice, I'm 21 at the time now, so fast forward 20 years. She's making me the same sandwiches. I'm eating lunch with the same people, just older. They still have Wonder Bread. I still have the fucking sandwich.
Nothing wrong with that.
I still have that same sandwich. I'm still embarrassed, Anthony. And I don't know what that says about me, but
A lot.
I would put them in. I would put the sandwiches in the back of the truck, and they would pile up
I went in the truck. There had to be about 40,
after a
50
week.
bags in the back.
So I'd go to the canteen truck and I'd order, whatever I would order.
That's too bad, bro.
And it was. I think about it now, Anthony, and
it's inevitable
It
that
was a
there's-
shame that I did that.
Of course, but there's an inevitability of some sort of embarrassment when you're the other, right?
I was the other.
Exactly. And I was the same, right?
And I was the one other, the only.
made
other.
you lunch every
I didn't
day?
have.
Mother made me lunch every single day.
I didn't
and
have
I walked
any-
in and I had the bag. Everybody else had the.
I didn't
the
have
lunch
any other
tray, all
friends,
the fancy-
Anthony. I didn't have any other Italian friends to back me.
I didn't either. I grew up in Belmont. How many Italians are in Belmont?
Two.
You had a few,
3. You, your mother, and
So
5.
you had some Jewish people on your side.
I did, 100%. My best friend was Jewish all through elementary school. But I had the big meatball sandwich. I had whatever it was.
And he had his matzo balls, I'm
No, he
sure.
didn't. No, he was very Americanized. He had his white bread Wonder Bread sandwiches.
See?
But there was times, and I regret it now, where I would trade my sandwich for something that was more like everybody else had. And let me tell you, it was the easiest trade on earth because everybody wanted my sandwich, and I just wanted to be like everybody else.
I thought so. So I was.
And if I could go back and do it again now, I would never have done it.
That's what I mean. When you ask me these questions, I think maybe I've been conditioned to really appreciate that I'm Italian, and I want to bring it up that I'm Italian. But I remember in high school, there was long tables, and I sat down at the head. I was probably the smallest kid in high school, me and maybe 2 others. And my table consisted of nothing but Italian people. One Spanish kid. I never forget. I let him in. He was part of the soccer team. But everybody brown bagged it, okay? And we sat there, no trading sandwiches, because we all had the same food in there, right?
Okay.
And one day I'm in line, and back then, you had a book bag and everything, and I'm in the line where you get the food and the milk and all that, whatever you had to buy for a drink. And there's this kid I met, and we're good friends today, this kid Piscatelli. And I says, and I smell it. I see steak and cheese. I'm like, wow, steak and cheese sandwich. I never had one in my life. I turn around, I go, kid, what's a steak and cheese? He goes, you never had one? I said, no. I said, but they're like $2 a piece. I didn't bring any money. He goes, open your bag. He opens my bag. He puts like 3 sandwiches in there. I go to the table. I got all the greasers at the table. I said, gentlemen, today we're going to have steak and cheese. I cut it up into pieces. I spread it out. I went home. I said, Ma, every Wednesday I need $2.30.
Wasn't it beautiful?
I thought it was great.
Amazing.
Still
What,
eat it to
amazing,
this day.
what
My
happens, amazing what
favorite
happens
sandwich,
when
steak and
amazing what happens when you broaden your horizons, right?
There you go.
No, it was great. And my mother made me lunch all the way up to 30 years old. I owned a business after, in my 20s, all the way to my 30s.
You know,
I owned a
Catholic
business.
school, and the only option was you couldn't bring lunch. You had to eat what they gave you.
Nah, I ate. Well,
had to eat
MC,
what you
you
gave
could bring your own lunch.
And ironically, there was nothing Italian. I mean, okay, we had like maybe pasta with kind of like ground meat maybe once a week. I mean, it was
Stuff was garbage. Half the time when you went through that
but
lunch line,
sandwiches.
it was so disgusting. I don't know how you ate it.
We had bologna and cheese. We
Jesus,
had
Louise.
tuna
How do you
fish,
eat it?
and we had peanut butter and jelly, which I consider an aberration to distort perfection with jelly. It's always been my
Mine was
little
steak
kinda-
and cheese. It was the best smelling thing in there. So I had a business, the flower shop. That's why I got the Frank Flowers. And my mother lived down the street. The flower strip was up the street. And she used to come by before she took the bus to go to work. And she'd drop off lunch. And I wasn't married at the time. Did I ever tell you this? I'm 30 years old, 29, 28, 29. And I got married. We got married. We went away. We came back on our honeymoon. That day, I'm at the shop. We're working. I'm like, where the fuck is she? Where's the lunch? I go, Millie, she come by with the lunch yet? She goes, no, she didn't come by yet. So all afternoon, no lunch. I called her up later on that night. I go, Ma, where's the lunch? I've been waiting for it. She goes, honey, I've been making you lunch since kindergarten. You're married now. It's over. And that was it. That was my last lunch.
Hey, did you go out with a bang at least?
I wouldn't have got married if it was going to end.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
It got better. You know why? Now we live down the street from her. I used to go home. I used to find bags in front of my doorstep with lentil soups and prosciuttos. He would buy me everything.
So you got a question there that's gonna like basically have us go around and all wind up being compadres and doing like this. Go ahead.
But, you know, I felt bad for Bruno that he had to be embarrassed about his...
Suffering builds character. Suffering builds character.
Yeah, you're right about
Suffering builds character.
Right
It
about
does.
that.
It really does. But anyway,
Little hate.
Huh?
Little hate as well.
I don't really want to get into the discipline of growing up. We know Anthony never been hit. Obviously, he's been privileged.
Why? What's wrong with that? I want to ask him.
You
I
know,
want to
the
ask him if
Italian-
his MIT dad ever gave him a slap.
I don't think so. He's a gentleman. The guy was a gentleman. His mother was a sweetheart. I don't think they ever took that route. Unfortunately, some of us grew up in a. I don't know if it made us differently.
I think that to go down the path of bringing up, discipline in a physical sense probably has a certain connotation nowadays. It probably should kind of be kept at bay. You know what I'm saying?
I just want to bring it up to show that.
That's,
to show that
we're in 2023. We're not in 83 where we can laugh.
Actually, in 2024.
2024, I'm sorry. We can laugh about, a spoon being.
Did you ever get a
Being used
beating
as
or
a,
anything?
no.
I said no to you. I answered your question.
You know what I mean?
No, I got hit a couple of times. Once with a spoon, once with a slipper, and I deserved it both times. But I didn't get beat.
Yeah,
My father got beat.
but it did change our characters. Some of us went through, a little bit. Even the girls, it's amazing. I got 3 girls. I would never touch them.
I'm going to give you a metaphor: pasta, pitchforks, and ponytails.
Yeah, you got to finish that. You really got to finish that.
I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to go into any
a book to
explanation
come.
right now.
So let me ask you something. I want to get off the subject with food with this. If you had, I'm going to start with you.
Oh God. Okay.
If you had to pick your favorite food you ever ate, like if you go on the electric chair and they says, Mr. Capone, what would you like to eat?
Jeez, I think he might have it in front of him.
I mean
Lot of it.
this was a good companion on a daily basis. He's talking about something that I would have on occasion or fairly regularly or whenever.
Something
That gave me a transcendental
euphoria.
experience. Something that would take my consciousness to a different alternative dimension.
Forget about everything.
And I've kind of seen it all. I've had everything in my life in one form or another. And I would think that the thing that I come back to is a Twinkie. A good old-fashioned Hostess Twinkie.
A Twinkie.
Yeah.
A cancer stick.
I can't.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the prosciutto. Eat that every day. That'll be great
That's
for
dry
you.
cured
too.
meat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tell that. Get back to me in 20 years on that. But okay.
Jay, how can you compare prosciutto to a Twinkie? Read the label.
Salt, fat, processed meat. Yeah. Okay. Like I said,
not processed.
Have it for 20.
That's dry cured meat.
Have it for 25 years every
Hold on,
day.
we can't
and
bamboozle
get-
people
and
with process.
Get back to me on it. Get back to me on it. Okay. But let
Can
me.
you retract your statement of
I will
process?
not. I am not going to redact anything.
It's not processed.
Let me carry on with what I'm saying about. I'm talking about.
can't
I'm
lie.
talking about a transcendental experience, and once again, you're going back with the Italian hammer that obliterates everything. Again,
Yes, it's a number one
again.
fucking coca-cola.
Okay, you wouldn't have known unless someone told you about it. At the end of the day, I found Twinkies on my own. Big
I
difference.
think I had
Big
prosciutto
difference.
at Bert.
Big difference. That's what I'm
I
saying.
had milk on the nipple,
Yeah.
and then I had a prosciutto
Well, exactly.
right after that.
By given by somebody else. I found that on my own. But whatever. Listen, at the end of the day, there's a sentimental attachment from when I was a child, when you cracked open that little package and you heard that little kind of crinkle, and then that smell.
Do we have
that
any
sorta
Twinkies
hit
in the
you.
house?
And when you had that first couple of bites and just that freshness and that sort of taste of sugar and that little aftertaste on your tongue, it was something when I was a kid, it meant so much to me. It was such a treat. And it's always kind of stuck with me ever since. That feeling that I got when I was a kid when I had that. And obviously I had to do it in secret because there were a lot of people like yourself who wouldn't have understood it. So I had to.
Wait a minute, there's
I had
two
to.
of us here.
I had to find the shadows to be able to acclimate that little thing. But it's always stuck with me, and that's that.
A Twinkie.
Coming of
A
age.
Twinkie.
All the food you ever eaten, it's a Twinkie.
Incredible.
Well, I mean, I've had other food that had a more sort of sophisticated kind of. I mean, listen,
You're making his case, you know that.
Huh?
You're making his case.
Making a case for one.
There's no case.
That's purely opinion.
I know.
You're assuming. You're
We know
assuming,
where your opinion
You're
goes.
assuming that that's universal truth right there. I'm saying that I'm
I
just
think
telling
Anthony's a
my
Twinkie guy.
own stories. He nods. Of course he nods. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not a. Oh, look, here we go.
I think it.
Today we're gonna make Jason happy.
There's your
Someone wants to make me happy.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
knew there
My
was a
blood.
Twinkie in the house.
Listen, she's a saint. She just lowered my blood pressure, but she just maybe increased my sugar. But that's fine.
Cancer, 20% diabetes.
Oh yeah.
That's a perfect
once
meal.
again, I'll give you a bet. Get back to me in 20 years. You know what I mean on that.
I shouldn't talk because I got more
But
problems. But anyway, Bruno.
gentlemen,
Are you-
here's to you.
Salud.
Thank
kid.
you.
I'll join him. Give me a second.
Wow.
Thank you.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Want a Twinkie, Frank?
No.
You don't want to try one?
No, I never
Oh,
liked
look at him! Look at him! Wow!
Come
I'm
on.
impressed.
I'm not here to lie to you.
impressed.
I'd say-
I'm impressed. Look at him. I'm impressed.
I'd say
Stick it to your
I'd say we
guns,
all
man.
just
All
have.
right, hey, go get me some Maalox and a bottle of
yeah, yeah.
Fine.
Pepto-Bismol, then I'll take a bite.
There's a ton of fiber in. There's a ton of fiber in that. You know.
No way, I would
Here,
never
come
eat
on,
it.
I'll
I
be
can't
quiet.
stand it. I don't even eat this shit.
Listen.
You're not gonna have a
Salt of orange on the palate.
Oh God! Right there, man. He knows. He knows. He's
Cream.
talking.
first grade.
Don't force him. Don't force him.
I know what it tastes like. It's got that
Oh yeah, yeah. Let me. I think you told me one time that you like ring dings. Did you not say that to me the one time that you like ring
when
dings?
I was a kid.
Oh, okay. But you did like ring
My
dings,
palate
though.
changed.
Huh?
My palate changed. Now I'll eat a lobster tail from.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's just equally as healthy for you, right? There's no
For
cancer
what it's
in
worth,
that.
the nostalgia is better than the reality. That's fucking terrible.
Right there.
I just want my cousin to be
Ah,
That's fucking.
I want him to be happy.
I love it. To anybody who
Emilio, you're the best cook. You made those? Are those homemade?
Thank you.
He's Italian. He wants homemade Twinkies. Those are homemade.
fried Oreos. I'm sure fried Twinkies, even better.
Did you hear? She homemade. Twinkies.
Homemade?
Yeah, she made them. She put the wrapper on just for
They're
this.
identical, whatever they are.
All right, Bruno.
When I go in, I'm going to hostess heaven, brother.
Your favorite food. You go into the electric chair. You go. One choice.
Wow, I think we spoke about this last time. Or out there.
Yeah, over there.
Okay.
We spoke about it over there.
Over there. We spoke about
Over there, yeah.
over there.
Over there with the guy with the thing.
The other guy over
Hey.
there with the first thing and the second thing. That's where I didn't want to go.
Has to be a nice tripe. Has to be a nice. Has to be a nice chicken tripe.
Do you know why they ate tripe? It was
Hey.
the last thing on the fucking thing
This
they
is
could
something that I enjoy.
Okay.
What do you mean?
eat. They were starving.
So look, I'm 100% on board with tripe. I don't think I've ever eaten chicken tripe.
There's a chicken tripe out there.
Yeah.
It's called chicken tripe.
Your objection is because it's chicken? That's
No,
it?
it's just there's something.
Not the,
inherently-
not the fact that it's innards. That has nothing to do with it. You know what I mean?
chicken about it.
There's deep respect for the animal.
You're somewhat of a cook. Right?
I love tripe. It's delicious.
You're a cook.
Yeah.
You're a chemist when it comes to food. When you got to drown something with so many different other ingredients and vegetables and salt,
You're not drowning anything.
you eat it just like that.
Sauce and some parsley
Yeah.
and some bread.
You can put it on polenta.
Can you
It's
blow bubbles with
delicious.
it? It's like gum.
No.
You ever hear cannibalism?
It's not like
Guys, it's incredible. I mean, Anthony,
delicious. All day, every day.
I pass.
all day, every day.
I'll eat tripe. I love me some stomach lining.
Really? I know you like tripe.
I do like it.
Listen, in defense, hey, to each his own.
And I got to give it, his mother makes one of the best tripes.
Absolutely one of the great.
Fortunately, I love the taste.
not
of
had-
it. I can't
not had
keep
the pleasure.
chewing the thing.
The mom makes a great chicken tripe, and that's where
Chicken tripe.
that's where that comes
It's a
from.
lot of
That's
work.
foreign to me.
A lot of
It
work.
is. It's foreign to myself, but
I would
there is a
eat.
chicken tripe.
I would eat. The one meal I think about the most is I was in the Caribbean and we found this hole in the wall restaurant out in the middle of nowhere, and I got a fried whole snapper with rice and peas and this like habanero gastrique vinegar sauce. I ate the shit out of it. It was delicious. I dream about that.
Really? That's what
about
I
it.
want to hear. I want
dream
you to
about
hear
it.
like you're going to the electric chair and you're gonna. This is your last meal, and that's what you would pick.
Depends who's there.
But you dream about it.
If I'm going to the electric chair, my
But
mom's
the
still alive. I'm eating whatever.
Hold on.
I'm eating
But
my
it-
mother's
but it's
food
the
'cause I
most-
don't want her
but
last
it's the
thing to be
most
like, "You really
important-
didn't
What
bring
brings you to
food?"
that
It's the
feeling?
most important. Exactly, it's the most important thing before you're about to have your last meal and,
And-
your last
and-
breath.
and
The
that's what you're
feeling
coming-
that you
that's where you're
have
coming from.
that the food gives
think
you
it's-
in that last moment, as opposed to having a judgment over what the merit of what you're eating.
So why are you
at the
guys
end of the
judging
day.
my tripe?
Does it make you feel great?
Absolutely.
All right, that's what I'm
Absolutely.
looking.
I'm not saying it just to say it.
Look at him.
Power to you,
It's true.
This guy almost passed out when he was eating the Twinkie.
I've
dude. It was like having peyote, man. That was a
That's what I want to know.
psychedelic experience.
That's what I want to know.
That took me back to 1,000 places, 1,000 years ago.
That's what I want to know.
That is awesome.
Me, you're not gonna like my answer. This fucking kid.
I'm gonna take my glasses off
Oh
for this one.
God! Don't say pepperoni pizza.
No, it's something. It's something that when I look at it, it makes me like my mouth starts to drool. And I've eaten in different parts of Europe. I've eaten, all kinds of food. I've tried it all. I'll try anything, once. But just picture a glass dish with chicken cutlets with sauce, drowning in sauce with oil, and the cheese, like a good half-inch layer of cheese. And you pick up one of those chicken cutlets, and not the little cutlets, not the one they serve in some of the restaurants, but the nice thick ones. And you can cut into it with a fork.
I'd hope.
If you can't, send it back. Or just tell the person, don't make chicken cutlets ever again. That, when I eat them, I could eat. What's the rule in my house is if you're going to make chicken cutlets, and they all know this, 50 minimum, because it's the amount of people.
50 cutlets?
No,
50 cutlets.
Wait a minute. Your attachment.
Because there's a bunch of people on the table.
Your attachment is sort of like mine with this. It's a transcendental sort of experience based upon pure taste and maybe a commingling of sentiment that you may have in regards to this.
It's
particular
that
food.
taste of the oil, the sauce, the chicken, the cheese. It's a chicken palm, big chicken parmesan.
What about Bill Palm?
No.
It's the situation. It's not the food.
What's this? But he's not describing. He's calling it describing the food.
He's calling it the food. It's the situation. It's not the food. It's the memories it brings.
You know
back
what?
of
You know
seeing
what?
it.
You're right.
I think
You're
it's-
right.
I
First
think-
time tonight, I feel that you are 100% right because it could be
The situation?
an eggplant palm and it could be a veal palm, but I would more go to an eggplant or a chicken palm because it's more thicker and you can it melts in your mouth. And I probably could eat the whole tray.
Now, do you take
But
it?
would you do it by yourself?
I don't think it's a
That's why the
situation,
rule is
Frank.
50 or
I think
less.
he actually
50 or more.
loves
My point is-
chicken palm.
But my point is, everything that we have, everything that all of us said, is a memory of eating it that makes it taste better. The food itself is almost immaterial.
It's what brings you that euphoria. Where
I
you're
was-
like, this is unbelievable.
I was with my wife and my kids on an absolutely ridiculously rainy day in this crazy restaurant in the middle of nowhere, and I was eating this, and my kids were psyched. They loved their food. My wife loved their food, and I was having the best
And
time
in
of
your
my life.
case, that's a beautiful story. I love that story. Beautiful story. But for me, from the first time I had it to the moment I just had it, the last one I just had, it's never let me down once.
It's because it tastes like rebellion.
Huh?
It tastes like rebellion, and
Not
you
at
relish
all.
Well,
rebellion.
you're right.
Not
Chicken
at
cutlets
all.
have let
Not
me
at
down.
all.
Certain people that made it, I won't eat it. Certain
This is always the
restaurants-
same. And the good thing about that, you could eat it 6 months after it's been sitting out, and it will still taste the same.
And for the
That's the
record,
good thing
and for
about
the
it.
record, my mother
What other food in the world could you
makes
say that
the
about?
best chicken cutlet palm, and his mother. His mother puts extra sauce and oil. That's the one I want. That's the one I love. But
You want prefer? You don't think veal palm is better?
no, I don't know.
Yeah, no, Jay. I don't-
I'm a chicken or
A good veal. What do you think? How do you think veal versus chicken palm? What do you think?
I'd rather veal, but not in a
Neither here nor
Parmesan
there,
case,
just-
no.
If I want
Veal
veal,
palm.
if I want veal, I want a chop.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
All right. Last questions.
Yeah,
You ready for this one?
let's go.
He's not going
Go ahead.
What do we think about the Roman Empire?
to. I love the Roman Empire. Stop. I have dreamed that I was a Roman. I was a Roman.
I think about it all the time. Do you?
Yeah, you want me to put the suit on? Some other time. If you were able to pick your nationality, what type of culture you want to live in, throw in the era of time, whatever you want to say, which ones would you pick if you had the opportunity to pick?
Go ahead.
Wow, you want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so this way you don't agree with him.
Yeah, I'm not going to agree with him.
No, so you go
not
first.
agreeing with
Let me see if he agrees with you.
Can't argue with excellence, my friend.
Wow.
Waiting to see how much of this shit we have to edit.
How about
we get a water over
is there a lot of editing going? How about a Mexican American?
Mexican American one. Yeah, all
I
right.
mean, like, you want
You'd be a Mexican,
You want to
but
be
live here.
Mexican.
No,
living here in America?
No, I said that
defeats the
wrong. How about
purpose,
how about a Mexican? Mexican background. Food's great.
Where you living?
You'd want to live in
Mexico.
Acapulco on a beautiful beach.
So where's the American come from?
I miss that.
You retract?
Yeah.
So, Mexico and most Central South American Mediterranean cultures are identical in terms of their family values.
Central.
Family value wise, yes.
So it's basically just swapping food for the same culture.
Is it the
in a different
food?
language.
Tell us what it is.
So if you want to be really different, you have to become an Aborigine down in Australia.
Is it women? Mexican women?
Well, not so much the women, but I mean, I like their culture. I like the background. I like their food for sure.
Is it the mariachi?
It could be the mariachi. It's where they are. where
Don't take
they're
this
from.
personal. Is it the
Sangria.
height? Is it the height of people?
Good beer, tequila.
Is it the height of
culture,
people?
a lot
You
of
feel
good
more
food.
comfortable? Because I'm short like you too. You know what I mean?
I
I'm
do feel-
surrounded by fucking monsters.
I do. I do feel more comfortable.
we could feel
They're all-
comfortable. Maybe we might be the tallest one in the village.
We may be
There's other ways to be a giant.
at 5'6".
No, what is it? Tell me what it is. Go
ahead.
So it's everything.
It is everything. Yeah.
Good. It's good to know.
Yeah. That's it.
Sounds good. I like it.
Anthony,
Not a bad
I'm
answer.
not changing a thing.
what do you mean?
I'm not changing a thing. I love exactly
You're
what
gonna
I am
stay
right now.
A privileged American?
I'm going to stay a privileged American from Italian descent. Why the fuck would I change that?
Privileged American
You're
from
ignorant
Italian.
if you would change that.
Oh, stop it.
If you would change being.
I don't think he asked whether you were going to change or not.
He didn't ask to
He
change.
was
I mean,
saying if
So
it
what
was-
would you choose?
If it was a
did.
hypothetical,
If you had the-
if it was a hypothetical,
Well, that's what he chose.
In a hypothetical world, why would anybody choose something other than an upper class white male? Really? Is that even a question? If you got to pick?
it's
I
hypothetical.
disagree. I disagree.
If
hypothetical.
anybody got to pick, I get to pick. I'm already am an upper class white male of Italian descent. Are you serious? I hit a fucking lottery.
And so you're staying there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a hypothetical.
Italian
Take it
thing.
for a ride, Anthony. Take it for a ride.
In a
At least.
hypothetical, I would change the ideal situation.
Why
Why would I
not?
hypothetically change anything?
He made his choice.
Why
all right,
not?
listen. It is what it is.
You don't speed. You don't speed.
I don't.
Is
what?
that your final
You
answer?
don't speed.
I don't speed?
Yeah, you're the type of guy that doesn't speed in a vehicle. You don't take it for a test ride.
Are you serious?
I don't think so.
I've been racing cars since I was 17. I got pulled
Yeah, it
over a
doesn't seem
roadblock
like
at
it.
93 going 100.
Doesn't
I think
seem like it. Know what that-
the way I interpret
know what that
the way
answer-
I interpret this question is like staring at the undiscovered country over the horizon and just imagining it. There's nothing to do with who I am in this moment in time. It doesn't indicate in any way, shape, or form I'm rejecting who I am or I'm discarding who I am.
Fine, I'll take it to a physical, philosophical level. I would pick fucking Atlantis. I would live in a mythical undersea world.
Hold
Never
on,
fucking existed.
But hold on, but Jason,
There you go.
But he had a
Surrounded
change.
by
But he had a change of view.
beautiful mermaids.
But
Now, hold on.
I did say era of time.
Hold on.
he had a
Hold on.
change of view
Hold
on that.
Hold on. That was what I was trying to get out of him.
And he
That's
got
what
it.
I wanted.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's what I wanted to hear. I
Yes.
wanted to hear something deep inside, something way in the
Thank
back
you,
of his
Anthony.
mind.
You
I
could have
wasn't-
what I was
married
looking for.
Ariel.
That's
My
all I
wife's
was
a
looking
redhead.
for.
That's all I was looking
name?
for.
That's why.
Ariel?
Oh, God.
My wife's a redhead. So Ariel. it
There you
works.
go.
Maybe subconsciously I
There you
always
go.
wanted to live
there
under
you
the
go.
sea.
That's what I wanted.
Maybe
That's
I'm
what
a
I
fucking
wanted
crab
to hear.
and I sing in a
Perfect.
weird accent.
I mean, geez. I mean,
Got a
listen,
couple
dude.
SpongeBob's.
Listen,
Wow.
bro.
Thank you for getting
Listen,
that
bro.
out.
At the end of
All
the day,
right.
if we were going to have this question, it's going to be tossed out there. You're going to give me an answer like, "Well, why ask the question? Let's talk about the Super Bowl next week." But okay, good. No, you go. Go ahead.
No, you go. I'll end it.
All right, I have a fairly anticlimactic answer after that one because I've always been sort of an Atlantis sort of searcher my entire life. I appreciate that. By the way, it's the Azores. You want to know where Atlantis was? It was the Azores. But okay, I would probably want.
Minotaurs were from Constantinople.
They were, yeah. But I would want to.
They were also not real.
In someone's world, they were real. But I would probably want to be. Oh God. I'd want to be a Coptic monk living outside of Alexandria in the desert in the centuries after Christianity had moved into Egypt and sort of combined itself with Greek philosophy, Egyptian mysticism, and just be one of those people that lived out in the desert in that little monastic movement and just pondered the secrets of the universe. And that's it.
Sounds exciting.
That's a super privileged answer. That's a super privileged answer.
I'd be giving up a lot of privilege to.
No Twinkies your way.
I did not a lot of Twinkies. I'm living like an ascetic. Piece of bread, glass of water. That's pretty much it.
Wow.
I'm not gonna shit on that.
I'm not sure. It's kind of like That's.
I'm not gonna shit on that. I think it's privileged. I think it's beautiful. I think it's privileged. But I'm not going to shit on it because.
Why wouldn't you?
Well, I mean, wait. You think what I said really existed? You said something came out of a George Lucas story. I mean,
Well, I don't. But I'm not. I don't actually think that. You guys forced me into a corner, so I made up some bullshit. That was that.
Oh
was,
no!
we're
But that was your-
talking. We're
that was your
talking
true
pure
answer.
hypothetical here.
And I'm saying pure.
You said it so
Purely
naturally.
hypothetical. We're just dreaming here. That's all we're doing.
So might as
It's
well.
okay to dream.
So
No
if you're
problem
dreaming,
with that.
why create a society? Why be a part of a hypothetical society that already existed? Make up
Because it
your
was a
own.
hypothetical question.
Make up your own.
That was beautiful.
Well, he talked about a time and a place. He didn't say if you could make up. If the question was to make, I could make up one very easily. But he asked of a particular place at a time, and that's what I said. I'm following the I'm following the parameters of the moderator here. That's what I'm doing.
I want to hear Frank's.
Go ahead.
I would.
I've had my Twinkie. I'm satisfied. I can shut up now.
Let me see if I can. I'm going to write it down and see if I can guess it.
He's not gonna like it.
Hold on.
Half of it.
Go ahead.
Dude, I've had it. You say
I'm
whatever
gonna
you want.
stay in the Italian vicinity there, Italy. And I know, truthfully, if you go to Italy, nobody says I'm Italian. They say, I'm Sicilian, I'm Calabrese, I'm Napoletan, I'm Avellese, I'm Milanese, whatever.
I'm Argentinian. Go ahead.
Okay, other side. I'd probably
But
would
Argentinians
love
in Italy.
to be in the Caesar Augustus era and be a Roman
Okay.
and grow up as raw as possible.
What class?
Would you be a
what class?
plebe?
Yeah.
I'd probably be a soldier, yeah. Either a soldier or probably trying to get myself higher up there.
Wasn't a good place to be. Probably wouldn't want to have been there. You probably wouldn't want to be that.
It was a different time, I understand, but I think
There was no sacrificing and working your way to the top in that environment, brother.
I'm not interested in working my way to the top.
So you just
I'm looking
wanted,
for
so you
freedom
just,
in
you
life.
just wanted to wear the armor. That was it.
I want to wear the armor. I wanted to be part of that whole. First of all, that whole regime that they created back then.
The aristocracy got the full experience. The pleb just was the guy in the front lines.
We use it to this day in our own government, in all governments.
well in the West.
Roman Empire was
in
the
the
first
West.
one to create
In the West,
a
anyways.
senate and a whole government.
Oh, the Greeks did.
The Greeks. They were Italians. They went over there to teach the
Oh
Greeks.
God, man! The Athens and predated Rome by.
You know, I wanted
What did he
to.
say about school earlier?
Yeah.
Truthfully, I paid attention.
Not well enough.
Certain things. I wanted to say the Greeks, but I'm Italian, and I felt weird to say I wanted to be Greek, and then, transition.
And the Roman Senate was
to a Roman.
And the Roman Senate
From a Spartan
And the
to a
Roman
Roman.
Senate, from our perspective, was kind of a joke because it was nothing more. At least when it was operating, it was nothing more than just a body for the aristocracy. And Caesar's whole issue with the Senate, the reason why they had him assassinated, because they were afraid that he was going to give too much power to the plebs.
Well, I would have been there to protect Julius Caesar.
Huh?
I would have been there to protect him. I would have sniffed out the rat.
It was a pretty extensive conspiracy.
It happens today. It's the same shit that goes on today. Everybody's a rat. But anyways, that's where I would.
So
I'm going to stick with my Italian heritage, and I would have been one of the ones.
I
That
think that's a
Roman.
conversation I want to have with you for another time. You know what that conversation I had with somebody fairly recently?
Yeah, go ahead.
Was Brutus the ultimate traitor, or was he a hero?
Could have been
Context.
a traitor because he should have seen.
Why don't we save that for another day? We could go on for that for a while.
Well, we have plenty of other topics to talk about, and I love these guys. They bring up great points. I think we all have a different opinion about the topics, and we got some great interviews coming up. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. At the end of the day, we all love each other. As we started the play, we might get a little emotional, but it ends right after the last word is said.
It's passion, not emotion. It's passion.
So thank
Crying.
you.
Crying's only for girls and Italians.
Yeah. You gotta have thick skin in life. If you're gonna fucking cry, go home. Don't watch.
With the rest of the Twinkies. All right, come on.
Everybody.
There. Cheers. Thank you.
Salud.
Cheers.
Salud.